My name is Rose, and I just turned 30 last month. Life hasn't been easy for me, but I've always been strong and independent. I've tried to make my own way in this world without relying too much on anyone else. I live alone in a small apartment downtown. It's nothing fancy, just a rented place that I've called home for the last 3 years. I work from home as a content manager for an online magazine. It's not a big salary, but it pays the bills. Still, I don't get to save much money. I have a younger sister named Eva. She's 26. Unlike me, Eva has always been the favorite child. Our parents seem to love her more. Maybe because she's the youngest, or maybe because she always does what they want. Whatever the reason, I quickly learned I had to work twice as hard just to get half as much praise. Eva recently got engaged to a man named Brad. They met at her gym about 2 years ago. Brad seems nice enough, but he's a little too eager to please our parents, which makes me a bit uncomfortable. Ever since Eva got engaged, my parents have been excited, planning the wedding, and obsessing over every little detail. Last Sunday, after dinner at my parents' house, I decided it was time to talk seriously about my future with them. I'd been quietly saving money to buy a house, and I wanted their advice since they'd bought homes before. I sat down at the dining table, where Eva was busy showing off her engagement ring again. "Mom, Dad," I started, "I want to buy a house. I've been saving for a down payment, and I think I'll have enough in about a year. I want to buy something outside the city. Since I work remotely, I don't need to be close to downtown. I could get more space for less money." My parents exchanged a look, one of those silent conversations they have. Then my mom put down her coffee cup and said, "You don't need to wait that long or worry about a mortgage. We want you to have our country house." I almost choked on my drink. "Your country house, the one by the lake?" They nodded. The country house was a 2-story building about an hour away from the city. They bought it years ago but hardly ever used it anymore. It just sits empty most of the time, my mom explained. "If you fix it up a bit, you could move in right away." I couldn't believe it. My parents had never given me anything big before, and now they were offering me a whole house. It felt like a dream. "Are you serious?" I asked. "Absolutely," my dad said. "It needs some repairs, new floors, reinforcing the walls and foundation, but nothing too major." That night, I drove home feeling like I was walking on air. Maybe finally, my parents appreciated me. Maybe they saw how hard I've been working and wanted to help. For once, I felt like I was getting treated the way they treated Eva. The next day, I took a day off work and went out to see the country house. It was a bit run down but had good bones. I walked through every room, imagining how I'd fix it. I pictured myself working in the sunroom that looked out over the lake. I imagined hosting friends for barbecues in the backyard. That afternoon, I called a contractor named Mike. A friend recommended him, and he agreed to meet me the next day to inspect the house and tell me what needed fixing. Mike was very thorough. He checked the foundation, walls, floors, and roof. "It's a good house," he said, "just needs work, but nothing we can't handle." I told him I wanted new hardwood floors throughout, to reinforce the foundation and walls, update the kitchen and bathrooms, and paint everything fresh. It was a big job, but when it was finished, it would be my dream home. When Mike gave me the estimate, I swallowed hard. $80,000. That was a lot, most of my savings gone, but I decided it was worth it. Owning a home would be better than renting forever. "Let's do it," I told Mike, and we shook hands. For 2 months, I went to the house almost every day after work to see how the renovations were going. The workers were fast and careful. Mike kept me updated on every step. They tore out the old floors and put in beautiful hardwood ones. They strengthened the walls and foundation to make the house strong for decades. They replaced the kitchen cabinets and countertops with modern ones. I was amazed how quickly the house was changing. It was becoming exactly what I dreamed of. I even started looking for furniture online, planning where each piece would go. One evening, as I was leaving the house, my phone rang. It was my dad. "Hey, Rosie," he said, using my childhood nickname. "How's everything going?" "Great," I answered. "They just finished the floors today, and they'll reinforce the last walls tomorrow. The foundation work is done." "That's wonderful," he said. "How much more do you have left?" "Not much. I've already paid most of it. Next up is the plumbing and electrical work." "I'm proud of you, Rosie," he said warmly. "Taking on something this big isn't easy." His words felt good. My dad rarely said he was proud of me. "Thanks, Dad, that means a lot." We talked for a few more minutes before I hung up, feeling better than I had in years. Maybe things between us were finally changing. But then, that same evening, Mike called me sounding worried. "Rose, I need to tell you something," he said, after looking at old photos and checking the city archives. "I found a big problem with the pipes under the house." "What kind of problem?" I asked nervously. "The pipes were installed wrong from the start," Mike explained. "If we don't replace them, they might burst and flood your house and the neighbors too." "But the house has stood for years without any problems," I said. "That's because your parents rarely used it," Mike said. "The pipes could handle light use, but if you live there full time, the pipes won't handle the pressure." I felt my head start to ache. "How serious is it?" "Very serious," Mike said. "A neighbor's house had the same problem last year. They had to replace all their pipes and sewage systems. It was expensive. If you don't fix it, sewage could flood your yard and the neighbors. It's a big risk." "How much will it cost?" Mike hesitated. "About the same as what you've already spent, another $80,000. I nearly dropped the phone. Another huge bill. "I need some time to think," I said. "Take all the time you need," Mike said. I sat in my car for a long time, trying not to cry. Everything had been going well, and now this. 2 days later, I drove to the house again. When I arrived, I saw my parents' car and Brad's parked outside. I went inside and found them all, my parents, Eva, and Brad, walking around the living room, looking at the new floors and fresh paint. "What are you all doing here?" I asked, shocked. My mom smiled but looked a little nervous. "We were just checking the progress. It looks wonderful." Eva linked arms with Brad and said, "I was just showing Brad around. Isn't it lovely?" Something in her voice made my skin crawl. "Why are you showing Brad around my house?" I asked. There was a long silence before my dad spoke. "We've decided that Eva needs this house more than you do. She's getting married soon and needs a place." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "I spent $80,000 fixing this house." Eva smiled, as if nothing was wrong. "Thank you for that, Rose. We're family. We help each other out. You've done so much work already. We'll finish the last things ourselves." My mom added, "You can come visit once a month. The guest room is yours." I looked around, hoping someone would say it was a joke, but they all looked serious. I thought about telling them about the pipe problem, about the disaster waiting to happen, but something stopped me. My mom called my name, but I didn't look back. I got in my car and drove away, shaking. Back at my apartment, I called Mike. "I'm not going to fix the pipes," I told him. "The house isn't mine anymore. Let them deal with it." A month passed. I worked hard to save money again and avoided social media, not wanting to see Eva's posts. But curiosity got me one day. I logged into Instagram and saw pictures of the house, fully fixed, decorated, and furnished. There was a post about a housewarming party that weekend. "Can't wait to welcome family and friends to our new home," Eva wrote. "Brad and I are so happy to start our life here." Of course, I wasn't invited. I stared at the pictures, the kitchen I designed, the living room I painted, now decorated in Eva's style. I closed the app and went for a long walk, trying to clear my head. I told myself it was just a house. I could save again and find another place. But it wasn't just the house. It was the feeling of being used by my own family, like I didn't matter. A week later, my cousin Jenna called. "Rose, you missed a big scene at Eva's party," she said. "What?" In the middle of the party, while Eva was showing off her new bathroom, there was a loud gurgling sound. Then water started rising from the drains, sewage, not just water. I closed my eyes and pictured it. It was chaos, people running, Eva screaming. Then there was a loud noise outside. Everyone ran out to see sewage bubbling up all over the yard. I shouldn't have felt happy about it, but I did. Jenna kept talking, unaware I already knew what happened. Before any of this happened, no one knew about the plumbing problems in the house. They didn't know I had spent all my savings fixing up the place either. My parents had promised me the house, but then they took it away without warning. One day, I asked, "How bad is the problem?" The contractor came over the next day and told Eva and Brad the pipes were in terrible shape. He said they would have to replace every pipe inside the house. That meant tearing down walls and floors again, basically undoing all the work they had already done. The cost would be double what they had already spent fixing the house. I felt a sharp pain inside. Even though I was angry, I didn't want things to get this bad. That's not all, Jenna said. The neighbors are furious. Their new pool is full of sewage from the broken pipes, and their gardens are ruined. They want money to make up for it. After talking with Jenna, I tried to focus on my work, but the house was always on my mind. That evening, my phone kept buzzing. I had texts and calls from my family. I ignored all of them. Finally, I looked at the messages. Most were from my mom. "Rose, why didn't you tell us about the pipes? This is your fault. You should have fixed it. Call me now." I turned off the phone and went to bed. The next morning, even more messages waited for me. I read them but didn't reply. Then, one text from my dad caught my attention. "Rose, we need to talk. This is serious. The neighbors might sue." I replied with a cold message, "Not my problem, not my house." My phone rang right away. It was my dad. I didn't want to answer, but I did. "Why didn't you fix the pipes?" he demanded without even saying hello. I didn't know anything about pipes. I lied. I knew my parents never asked about the renovations or the contractor I hired. They never cared about the details. They couldn't prove anything. "You should have done better research before starting renovations," he said angrily. I shot back, "You should have let me keep the house I spent $80,000 fixing. Eva is getting married. She needs the house." "I don't care what Eva needs," I yelled. "What about me? I worked hard for that money. I wanted to make that house my home, and you just took it away like it meant nothing." I hung up and shut off my phone. For months, I tried to rebuild my savings. Sometimes, I looked online for other homes, somewhere far away from my family. Then Jenna called again. "No one lives in the house now," she said. "It smells awful. The neighbors are still angry and threatening to sue." "What are Mom and Dad doing?" I asked. "They're desperate. They're asking family for loans, even my parents." I laughed. "Dad told them to go away. Uncle Dave was smart." "They're blaming you, saying you promised to help fix it but didn't." "That's not true," I said. "They just want someone to blame." A few days later, my grandmother called. She was the only one who treated Eva and me fairly. "Rose," she said, tired, "I need to hear your side. Your parents are asking me for money and blaming you. Everyone is saying different things." I told her everything, how my parents promised me the house, how I spent my savings fixing it, and how they took it away after. I said I never knew about the pipes and it wasn't my fault. Grandma was silent for a long time. "I won't give them any money," she said finally. "What they did to you was wrong. Let that be a lesson." Weeks went by. I heard through Jenna that my parents took out a loan and used all their savings to pay the neighbors. They took out the old pipes but didn't replace them. The water was off. Repairs stopped. "If they don't dry the house before it gets cold, they'll get mold too," Jenna warned. "Not my problem," I said, but a small part of me felt bad. Not really guilt, but close. Time moved on. I started looking at homes again. I even applied for a mortgage. My savings weren't what they used to be, but I had enough for a small condo. One day, while working, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but I answered. "Rose, it's Aunt Meredith." She was my dad's sister. We never talked much. "Hi, Aunt Meredith, what's up?" "I ran into your father. He says you're to blame for the house problems, that you promised to help fix it and backed out." I didn't want to explain again, but I didn't want her believing lies. "Maybe we should meet for coffee. It's a long story." She agreed. We met at a cafe downtown that afternoon. I told her everything, the same story I told Grandma and Jenna. Her face changed from doubtful to shocked. When I finished, she said, "I didn't know. Your dad made it sound like you were just being difficult." "Didn't you go to the housewarming party?" she asked. "No," I said. She frowned. "I asked Eva. She said you were jealous and didn't want to come." I laughed bitterly. Of course, she would lie to cover herself. We talked more. Aunt Meredith seemed upset by what I told her. We left on better terms than before. I felt relief. At least one family member believed me. Seasons passed. Summer became fall, then winter. I hadn't heard from my parents or Eva for months. Jenna kept me updated. "It's a disaster," she said. "They still haven't fixed the pipes. The house is getting worse every day." "What about Eva and Brad?" I asked. "They're in a tiny apartment. Eva is mad. She posts rude things about family loyalty online. I chuckled. That's rich coming from her. Brad's parents won't help either. They think Eva and your parents tried to scam you. I smiled. At least someone saw the truth. Winter came with cold and snow. I got mortgage approval and was looking at condos, hopeful to move by spring. Then, just before Christmas, my dad called. I almost didn't answer but did. Hello, Rose. His voice was tired. We need to talk. Your mom and I made mistakes. I waited for him to continue. The repairs are too expensive. We used all our savings and took a second mortgage. It's still not enough. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, not really sorry. We need your help. You know the house and the contractors. I laughed. You want my help after what you did? I know we hurt you, but we're family. Family shouldn't take advantage. I was cold. He sighed. We know you have savings. We could pay you back. My savings are for my own place. I'm buying a condo. Please, Rose, just think about it. I ended the call without promising anything. How dare they ask me for money after everything? The calls and texts started again, from my parents and Eva. They asked, begged, demanded help. I blocked them. By January, I found a condo I loved, small, modern, with big windows and a balcony facing a park. I made an offer. It was accepted. When I signed the papers, I felt peace I hadn't felt in months. This was mine, bought with my money. No one could take it away. The week before moving, I ran into Aunt Meredith at the store. Rose, I was just thinking about you. We talked for a bit. Have you heard about the house? No, I've been busy with my condo. It's a nightmare. There's mold everywhere now. Your parents didn't dry it after the sewage. It's only gotten worse in the cold. I nodded, not surprised. What will they do? They're out of money. No family will lend more. The bank may foreclose on their home. I felt tired, not happy. That's their problem now, Aunt Meredith said firmly. They made their bed. Now they have to lie in it. Driving home, I thought about everything. My family tried to use me, but it backfired. I didn't want them to suffer, but I wasn't sorry either. A week later, I moved into my condo. It was everything I hoped for, bright, modern, mine. That Sunday evening, sitting on my balcony watching the sunset, my phone rang. It was Jenna. How's the move? Perfect, I said. I told her about the condo and my plans. I'm happy for you, Rose. You deserve it. Before we hung up, she said, they'll have to sell the house as is, probably tear it down. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. Some things can't be fixed. No, she said, some things can't. I watched stars appear in the dark sky. I thought about the house, what it meant to me, my parents' approval, a future, a home. And I thought about what I had now, a home I chose, paid for myself. It was smaller than the country house, but it was truly mine. Sometimes, losing what you thought you wanted helps you find what you really need. I lost a house, but I gained something better, the knowledge I didn't need my family's approval to build a life I love.